There is a flame that does not speak, yet it burns, a longing that is not loud, yet it moves mountains within her. She walks in silence, but the silence is not empty. It is a cathedral of echoes, dreams, and unseen prayers. To understand her is not to listen to what she says, but to hear what she cannot say. Her silent desire is not weakness. It is the deep, tectonic force of the soul beneath the surface of her smile. The soul does not communicate through the sharp lines of logic or the straight corridors of speech. It speaks through symbols, through images that carry centuries of meaning in a single glance. Her desire is not something she could ever articulate fully, not even to herself. It arrives in flashes, a song that lingers too long in her mind, a color that stirs something ancient in her chest, a recurring dream that leaves her half awake and burning with questions. Words, though beautiful, are too narrow to hold the vastness of what she feels. They fracture the wholeness of her inner world into pieces, losing the sacred pattern in translation. What lives inside her cannot be dissected like data, must be felt like poetry, intuited like a riddle, honored like a sacred text that was never meant to be explained, only lived. When she stands silently before a sunset, or stares too long at a single flickering candle, she's not merely observing beauty. She is in conversation with something timeless. The language of her soul is unfolding in that moment, not in a sentence, but in a symbol, a gesture, a shadow, a sensation that transcends understanding. To decode her longing through logic would be to miss it entirely. Her truth arrives wrapped in metaphor, cloaked in subtlety. She does not cry out for attention. She offers a symbol, hoping someone will recognize it and kneel beside her in reverence rather than rush to interpret. The one who truly sees her is not the one who solves her, but the one who listens with the heart and speaks with silence. Her silence is not a void, not an absence, not the cold retreat of someone who has nothing to say. It is a sanctuary, a hearth glowing with fire that has not yet found its voice. Within her stillness lives a heat, a pressure, a brilliance that burns quietly, so quietly that only the attentive can feel its warmth. She is not silent because she is empty. She is silent because there is too much within her that cannot be spoken without diminishing it. She does not pour her soul into every conversation, not because she lacks depth, but because her depth is sacred. What stirs inside her is not meant for casual ears. It is still forming, still shaping itself in the shadows, like a pearl hidden within the hush of the ocean. In a world addicted to noise and urgency, her silence is a rebellion. It is a statement: I will not reveal myself until it is true. I will not scream to be heard. I will wait to be understood. Those who fear silence will misread her. They will call her distant, shy, unfeeling. But they do not see what smolders behind her eyes, what storms turn quietly within her chest. She is not absent. She is waiting. She is tending the sacred fire of becoming, and fire, though it may not shout, always transforms whatever it touches. In her silence lives intensity, not apathy. In her stillness lives choice, not paralysis. Every quiet moment is a crucible where her true self is being shaped, not in the frenzy of reaction, but in the deliberate alchemy of introspection. She knows that what is most powerful often arrives without announcement. The volcano does not warn with words. It waits, watches, and one day changes everything. So does she. What she longs for is not simply a man, not merely a partner, not someone to complete a romantic script handed down by culture. Her desire runs deeper than companionship. It is a calling toward wholeness. She seeks not arms to hold her, but a mirror that reflects her fully. She is not waiting to be rescued. She is yearning to remember herself, to reclaim the scattered pieces of her own being that have been hidden, forgotten, or silenced over time. The world has taught her to name her longing in terms of others, to think that love means fusion, that happiness means attachment. But in the quiet places of her soul, she knows the truth. What she truly seeks is the integration of her inner world. She longs to become undivided, to no longer live in fragments. She aches to welcome home the wild parts of her spirit that were once exiled to maintain peace, to seem nice, to be accepted. She wants to meet the part of her that rages, the part that dreams in forbidden colors, the part that knows she is more than a role. Her longing, then, is not for someone else to make her whole, but to walk beside her without shrinking her fullness. She seeks connection, yes, but only if it honors her truth, not replaces it. She doesn't want a man to define her path. She wants to walk with someone who respects the terrain of her own soul. She doesn't need to be led. She needs to be seen deeply, by someone who doesn't flinch when her light and shadow both rise to the surface. She longs to love, but not from emptiness. She wants to love from overflow, to share herself not because she lacks, but because she overflows with presence. The man she desires, if he exists, is not the goal. He is the reflection of a journey already unfolding within her. Her deepest relationship is not with another, but with her own becoming. And anyone who joins her must know, her heart is not a home for someone else. It is a temple where she meets herself again and again until she is whole. Desire that is hidden is often the most powerful, not because it is suppressed, but because it is protected. What she conceals within herself is not buried to be forgotten. It is hidden because it is sacred, still forming, still gathering strength in silence. The deepest longings of the soul do not arrive in declarations. They arrive in whispers, in symbols, in quiet urgencies that refuse to be rushed into the world unripe. What remains unseen within her does not grow weaker in the dark, it grows roots. It deepens, it builds force like water behind a dam, invisible to the eye but undeniable in pressure. The world, addicted to speed and surface, expects desire to be loud, to be named, to be explained. But the soul has its own rhythm, its own seasons, and what she holds close, what she has not yet shared, is not less real. It is more real, because it is untouched by the distortions of approval or misunderstanding. She may appear calm, even indifferent, but beneath that surface lies a molten current of longing, refined, not raw, chosen, not chaotic. She has learned the difference between desire and hunger. She does not expose her inner fire just to feel alive for a moment. She lets it refine her from within until it no longer consumes her. It becomes her. What she desires is not for display. It is a force she is becoming worthy of. The hidden desire is the one that cannot be stolen or imitated. It is the thread of destiny woven into her from the beginning, the map etched behind her ribs that only she can read. It does not scream for attention. It shapes her character, sharpens her intuition, and draws her toward the life that belongs to her alone. Hidden desire is sacred energy waiting for the right time, the right container, the right version of her to emerge. It is not a secret because it is shameful. It is a secret because it is still sacred. And when it finally comes forth, it does not ask permission. It arrives like a storm long held in the sky, inevitable, undeniable, and life-altering. She is becoming the one who can bear the flame, not just admire it from afar, not just warm herself by it, but hold it within her without being consumed. This is no small journey. The fire she carries is not just passion or ambition, it is essence. It is the raw, divine energy of her deepest truth, and she knows that to carry it fully, she must be forged by it. She is not rushing toward the light. She understands now that before the flame can illuminate, it must purify. And so she walks through the inner furnace, facing her shame, her grief, her forgotten desires, her unlived life. She does not run from her pain anymore. She sits with it, studies it, lets it teach her where she once abandoned herself to be accepted, where she dimmed her light to stay small, where she traded truth for comfort. In doing so, she is being reshaped, not into someone new, but into someone true. This transformation is not visible on the surface. She may still speak softly, still go unnoticed in a crowd, but inwardly, something ancient and unbreakable is being born. Her backbone is straightening with quiet conviction. Her voice is gaining weight not from volume, but from depth. The flame she carries is no longer a wild spark threatening to consume her. It is becoming a lamp, steady and luminous, lit from within. She no longer seeks approval for her becoming. She has learned that not everyone can handle a woman who burns with her own fire. Some will fear her intensity, her clarity, her refusal to abandon herself. But she is no longer shrinking to fit into small rooms. She is learning to hold her own radiance, to be a vessel strong enough to carry desire without begging, love without losing herself, truth without apology. What she once feared would destroy her is now her gift. The flame is not the danger, it is the calling, and each day she rises silently, patiently, painfully if needed, to become the woman who is not afraid to hold what is real. The one who knows fire does not burn, the one who has become fire herself.